forgot. We overlooked it.
Say you need something sent overnight. There are a few companies you can call, but say you need it Saturday morning, guaranteed. There are two, but only one is so efficient.
Bobby, just give me a couple of minutes.
They get it there on time for far less, which is why to some, there is only one, UPS.
2 minutes, Gary. Yeah, all right.
Go, your squad. Let's go get him on.
The Lexus Coupe can be equipped with a cellular phone that allows you to dial, answer, and hang up without ever letting go of the wheel. Proving once you get your hands on a Lexus, they tend to stay that way.
We've been telling folks for some time now about the fresh squeezed taste of Tropicana Pure Premium Orange Juice. However, there's a certain segment of the population who prefer their juice the way Mom used to make it, full of juicy bits of real orange. For those folks, there's Pure Premium Homestyle. So if you like juicy bits, no other major brand comes closer to this than this, Tropicana Pure Premium Homestyle. No matter which you prefer, with juicy bits or without, you just can't pick a better juice than Tropicana.
When a man ran a grueling 26-mile marathon in a pair of dress shoes, what was he thinking? He was thinking, I'm glad they're Rockports. Rockport, you should be in our shoes.
Put a luggage cart in a suitcase, and what do you get? Samsonite's piggyback. It's particularly handy on long trips like the one from your car to the ticket counter.
You were here. She has the traveler's checks here. Nah, that's no good. But this is. New American Express traveler's checks for 2. The first checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
It's a place where island traditions blend with European ideas, where day-to-day life is a struggle, and tomorrow's meal is far from guaranteed. The sea is their life, their sustenance, their pleasure, and their pain. But its wealth is...
We will show you the joy and the magic of learning. As the Discovery Channel has shown you your world, the Learning Channel will show you new worlds. From the world of arts, the world of science, the contemporary, the worlds of wit and wisdom. You can see the joy of learning. The joy of the Learning Channel has created another thinking human being.
Call your cable company and say, hey, I want to see that for myself.
Tuesdays on the Discovery Channel, we dig deeply into the world's ancient cultures. Some are still thriving, others just faded away. What can they teach us about the past and ourselves? The answers await you on Terra X. Then, a great museum throws open its doors and history comes back to life. See the way we were and how it shapes us still on Smithsonian Treasures. Tuesdays beginning at 8 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Sponsored in part by Rubbermaid.
Come face to face with the fearsome and majestic creatures that rule the animal kingdom. Join us for an unforgettable excursion on safari. On this episode, if life is slowly passing you by, if every day is just another yawn, then join us for a roaring good time with the pride and joy of the world of the Jungle Book, Lion Forest.
In the state of Gujarat in India lies Gir Forest, the lion forest. The trees here are relatively short, and the forest is interspersed with areas of grass. All in all, this national park covers an area of 1,300 square kilometers. Here live the last remnants, about 200 specimens, of the Asiatic or Indian lion, a species that once extended all the way to Greece and Israel, and was abundant in India until these animals were murdered by big game hunters out to gain prestige. We've been roaming through these forest areas with different groups of lions, warily, cautiously, and been able to get very close to them. This group is not yet used to our presence, and the dominant female is still a bit uncertain, as are her half-grown cubs. Scattered groups of Maldharis still live within the borders of the national park. The Maldharis are a pastoral people that devote themselves almost exclusively to the rearing of water buffalo. Theirs is a very isolated life in simple dwellings deep within the forest. In this modern era, that isolation can prove a great detriment to these people, particularly the young Maldharis. Because although we in the West may not realize it, today's India is a country undergoing rapid development. And the danger exists that the children of these people will find themselves left behind by that very development. Soon, however, this group, like so many others, will probably be leaving the isolation of Gir Forest. The Maldharis are not being forced out, but they are being encouraged to move to good new housing of their own outside the national park. For both people and animals in Gir Forest, the most important thing is water. During the dry season, that commodity becomes increasingly scarce, and quite a bit of water is consumed in these households as well. That very matter of water makes the Maldhari villages adversely situated from a wildlife conservation standpoint, directly adjoining the best segments of brooks and streams that eventually dry up almost completely and could invigorate numerous wild animals, which of course do not dare approach the Maldhari settlements. Clear, clean water, but inaccessible. Instead of that good water, the lions and other animals have to make do with such things as a little rivulet that emerges between two rocks. An opportunity that continues to diminish as the heat of April and May dries out the land. It's hot. The heat's not all that fierce yet, now, at the start of the dry season. But it's already leaving its traces in the struggle against the yielding vegetation. Only those species best adapted to heat, the acacia, for example, remain at the edges of the park and may continue to do so for a few more years to come. Because the grim truth is that each year, the surrounding desert areas devour a zone of about 800 meters at temperatures around 45 degrees Celsius. But it's an oversimplification to blame this trend wholly on the forces of weather. The chief factor is man, that pitiful little dot on the landscape that has so manifestly rewritten his role in these final seconds of a vast period of time. The lion forest is literally vanishing because of man, who's cutting down the valuable teak, the most important species of tree in the area. As is the case everywhere in the world these days, this felling is helping to transform the primeval paradises of our world into dusty desert or bleak, dead, barren wastes. Quite a lot of hay is being removed from this area too, but an end is being put to the really large-scale haymaking activities, which used to remove about 2,000 metric tons a year from here. The lions of Gir Forest are only the top of the food pyramid, and the animals they prey on are, of course, highly dependent on the untouched areas of grass that lie scattered here and there in the forest. Nilgai is the name of this species of antelope, which is managed very well in comparison with other wild hoofed animals. The sambar is well camouflaged with its branch-like horns. But here are horned animals in abundance, the goats of the Maldharis, moving through shrubbery like a horde of locusts. These goats, like their relatives elsewhere in the tropics, both domesticated ones and those gone wild, are indeed the harbingers of the desert to come. Their impact on the landscape they pass over is tremendous. Together with thousands of buffaloes, these goats are wearing down the forest. Fortunately, more and more Maldharis are moving out of the park and taking the scourge with them. Of course, the odd goat does wander off from the flock now and then, and a goat is easy prey for a hungry lion. As you can see, this male lion is headed straight towards us and then lies down about 3 meters from the camera. But it's the goat he's interested in. The park rangers patrol the forest daily, accompanied by goats. The bleating of a goat lures lions from their thickets. A goat is merely a snack, but a luscious one. A hungry lion weighing perhaps 175 kilos. Who can question its right to prey? Incredible, an anticlimax. The park ranger, weighing maybe 60 kilos, is keeping the lion in check. And note that, in the old days, lions could kill around 30 people in certain years. But despite his hunger for that luscious goat meat, the lion has too much respect for the ranger to dare attack. How is this possible? Well, the fact that the Maldharis have been scaring lions away from their prey for many, many years now has given all lions here, even this powerful male, the impression from their earliest years of life that man is utterly dominant. And that impression remains. Thus, with only his calm, the ranger keeps this primeval force in check. The big lion male yields, displays submission by lying down, and, as is common when a big cat feels nonplussed, he yawns. I've now observed this to be a rule. If we approach tigers, leopards, or lions, they become unsure of themselves and yawn. The yawn's contagious, isn't it? Both day and night. Let's test the theory. The lion's yawn is triggered, as I see it, by his becoming unsure as I approach. Having his best pal next to him hasn't made this male appreciably sure of himself either. Now, if I go even closer, that should trigger a yawn. And sure enough, there it is. That the yawn is not due to exceptional laziness becomes apparent quite suddenly, because the male immediately becomes alert when he sees and hears the ranger and his goat. But the lion pays me not the slightest heed as I film him from slightly below at a range of about 1.5 meters. The key here is confidence. These animals, which can be pure dynamite, are trusting us more and more with every passing day. And since their normal daily rhythm calls for rest and sleep during the hours of daylight, they do not have the energy to remain tense indefinitely. When a lion lies down to rest a mere few meters away, the battle is halfway won, even in the case of this lioness and her half-grown cubs. And so we rest together, in front of the camera and behind it, as the day passes without haste or stress.
Safari will return in a moment.
Their day-to-day life is a struggle, and tomorrow's meal is far from guaranteed. The Whale Hunters of La Malera on Disappearing World, Tuesday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Just how the little woodland critters keep their food fresh all winter long is a secret they keep a tight lid on. Because Rubbermaid Serve and Savor lids never forget to keep food fresh. Don't you wish everything was made like Rubbermaid?
The power of gold is the power to clean. New power line from Eureka. 8 big amps of power, 8 amps to clean down here, clear through to the dirt. Attachments on board to clean anywhere, here, there. And what it picks up, it keeps here. Yes, the power of gold is the power to clean. Great power, great price. New power line from Eureka.
Whitening toothpaste. Over 40,000 dentists recommend it for clinically proven safe whitening.
Excuse me, you're the owner of this place?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
So you could buy any laser printer you wanted, huh?
We bought an HP LaserJet printer.
But you could have bought any laser printer.
Yeah. Why?
Ah, just for the novelty of it?
I got enough novelty around here.
But isn't buying an HP LaserJet sort of like a, no-brainer?
Nah, I think it's kind of like a brainer.
HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
Dan figures the time he saves using Microsoft Excel for his budgets is time well spent with others. Microsoft Excel, the spreadsheet for Windows.
See television's most comprehensive look at the environmental issues facing us today. State of the Natural World, beginning Monday, May 25th at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel. It's your world.
Hi, Andy. This is Lana from the spa. Call me. Ta-ta.
Hey, Andy, the Beatles are having a reunion, and I've got tickets. Call me.
You'd fall in love with Colonial Williamsburg's quaint inns, the Blue Ridge Mountains' misty peaks, and Virginia Beach's moonlit ocean, too, if you had our free 144-page vacation guide. Call this toll-free number for your free copy.
Andy Ellis, you've just won the $100 million sweepstakes. Call in the next 30 seconds to collect your prize.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
With all the mutual funds out there, I needed an easy way to help me compare them.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
With Schwab's free mutual funds performance guide, I can compare track records on over 500 funds.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
And now we return to Safari.
The cubs were having a nice, easy time, and the lioness, too, eventually. And things were just as relaxed for us as well. The best method for really experiencing nature, both in the tropics and elsewhere, is simply to sit still. And perhaps a beauty like the red-headed parakeet will appear, quite without fear. Both parakeets and this little striped squirrel eat the almost dried out leaves above us and the lions. Now it really is dry, but the nilgai continue to turn up near the almost dried out creek bed. Now before the searing heat descends upon the landscape, the nilgai are in rut, and the males establish and defend harems that are as large as possible. The dominant male has already made clear whose the territory is, and the rival is forced to yield. A prime specimen like this weighs about 200 kilos. The short horns are apparently reminiscent of those of a cow, because the Hindi word nilgai means blue cow, and that very resemblance to the cow has caused Indian hunters to spare the nilgai. The cow, after all, is a sacred animal in India. But the female of the species is more reminiscent of the horse. Now during rut, the animals are in constant motion. The bull watches over his harem ladies and awaits the peak of their estrus. He receives this information through his sense of smell. This particular female is ready for mating, or, well, almost anyway. There is a visible sign of peak sexual readiness, the tail standing erect. That's also the sign, eventually, from the female. The smell signal is the important one. The one that causes the male to follow the track of the female in heat, while the other females in his harem can go on grazing in peace and quiet. This concentrated interest has its risks. The animals have very little left of their customary alertness to the dangers around them. As is the case with other hoofed animals in rut, there is a great danger that predators can succeed in stealing up on them and attacking, especially since the leading players are trotting around in circles. Toward afternoon, the lions begin to awaken. A low signal to her cubs, and the lioness leaves. During her rest, she has virtually ceased to exist as far as the world around her is concerned. If the lioness had not given that signal, the cubs would have remained where they were. Now they go off with her. A whole herd of nilgai. Junior appears since he instinctively obeys his mother's signal. At his age of 3 months, he's yet to develop an interest in prey, at least prey of this size. Two young males with the same interest, females. As I said, mating time is also the time of greatest danger when there are predators nearby. The dominant male and his chosen one are utterly in a world of their own and scarcely able to see anything but each other. The cubs receive no signal this time, and they stay put. The lioness cannot resist the temptation, despite its being broad daylight. These antelopes have no warning call, but their behavior now indicates danger. And the lioness has failed, but she'll have better chances later this evening. She summons her cubs. Junior feels it's time for a snack now. He greets his mother in the lion-cub manner after a break in their contact and also stimulates her to eventually serve a portion of milk. It's fantastic to see that her confidence in us behind the camera is now so great that she can relax and nurse her cubs. We feel privileged to be allowed to witness this family scene. Another signal. This serenade is emanating from a mating pair. In the case of lions and other big cats, it's the female that takes the initiative and says when it's time. There are numerous copulations per day, often at intervals of only 15 minutes. Lions are social, and despite the fact that the lion pair is moved off from the pride, no protest is raised when the other members of the pride gather around them. We ourselves are sitting in the grass about 15 meters from the fantastic sight, an impressive demonstration of strength that ensues. This male, with his scarred face, has apparently had to fight hard for the first rights to another female in heat. First rights? Yes, because in many cases a male is unable to cope with so protracted a program as a female demands, and another male has to replace him. On the other hand, the male, too, has several females that come to him when they're in heat. The whole system is a complicated one, which, however, does favor the strongest individuals, and, in its way, keeps the pride together. Because both the Asiatic and the African lions, as opposed to all other cats, are social and live in groups, or prides. But we are not members of the pride. And in fact, we were attacked by both these males after we'd filmed them. And, okay, fair enough. Even film stars are entitled to a certain amount of privacy. All the steps in the mating ritual of the lion are most probably instinctive and need not be learned. But the performance of this pair doubtless provides a certain stimulation. This male has now had to perform his duty for 2 wearying days, and he's nearly exhausted. He's no longer displaying much enthusiasm, and it'll probably soon be time for a replacement. We ourselves regard it as a privilege to be able to experience this closeness to life in the midst of this company of lions.
Safari will return after these messages.
Explore a forest in the sea, Wednesday on Wildlife Tales.
Dan figures the time he saves using Microsoft Excel for his budgets is time well spent with others. Microsoft Excel, the spreadsheet for Windows.
Next time you need a hotel, think twice.
Embassy Suites.
2 big rooms, 1 big suite.
Embassy Suites.
A place to relax, a place to play.
Embassy Suites.
Breakfast is free. Evening beverages too.
Embassy Suites.
Think twice. Twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Bifocals? I'm gonna look just like my father. My grandfather. Wait, nobody'll notice the lines if I do some cool frames. Or something. This is not working.
For those who refuse to be seen in bifocals, we offer the perfect disguise. Verilux no-line bifocals. The vision you need, the look you want, none of the lines. Call for a Verilux professional near you.
If she had a fever, you wouldn't wait a week to see the doctor. If she were hungry, you wouldn't wait a few days to feed her. So why wait even a day to fix the brakes on the car you drive her around in? At Midas, we don't just fix your brakes right. We can fix them right the very same day you bring in your car. Think about it. Midas, because your brakes can't wait.
At BASF, we help make carpet more colorful, more durable, more valuable for your home team. At BASF, we don't make the carpet, we make it better.
Microsoft Word for Windows is so easy, it just takes 1 click to make your work look twice as good. Microsoft Word, the word processor for Windows.
They have changed little since the time of the dinosaurs, yet they remain masters of their environment today. You'll find them on the remote island of the Komodo dragon, hidden in the desert den of the rattlesnake, or even in your own backyard. Uncover their secrets and learn their surprising stories as Discovery presents Cold-Blooded Creatures, all week at 7 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel. On the next Discovery Sunday, the story of 10 men who flew their way into military history. The story of an incredible wartime drama aboard the infamous Memphis Belle. And then 1946, an atomic bomb is tested at Bikini Atoll, and thousands of U.S. sailors are exposed to lethal amounts of radiation. Was it a military oversight or a calculated experiment? Radio Bikini. Sunday, beginning at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Sunday.
And now we return to Safari.
We were also able to come increasingly close to the lioness and her small cubs and witness their wonderfully gentle interrelationship. Licking is a social factor and contributes to establishing a bond between the lioness and her cubs that will remain in force for a long time to come. The licking is concentrated on those parts of the body that the young lion cannot lick itself. The neck, for example. Play behavior is stimulated too. Lions that have just eaten their fill are particularly prone to playing a lot with their cubs. For cats, this play is partly an early phase of training in the species' internal fighting techniques, and partly a rehearsal of behavioral elements that make up the final phases of the hunt. It's also an in-family indicator of strength, which teaches the cubs that the mother is dominant, and in matches among the cubs themselves, determines which of the siblings is the strongest, and hence dominant among them. The dominance system is important and should be firmly established before the individuals of the pride gather around a killed animal. In that way, unnecessary fights are avoided, fights that can otherwise end adversely. Even a lioness with nearly full-grown cubs often shows who's the strongest, merely with an almost playful grasp. The lioness with the small cubs assumes the stride with lowered head that indicates that she sees prey. This time she summons her cubs. What is it she sees? A tortoise, a star tortoise as it's called. Not much in the way of prey, more of a plaything for both the cubs and the lioness. But Junior prefers playing with Mama. This causes the other cub to feel that he was the first one to find the prey, and an unwritten law among felines says that the first to find the prey also has the first rights to the prey, and that's going to confuse this family's internal relationship for a time. because the lioness, of course, knows that she saw the tortoise first, and she likes toys too. Just between us, this conversation in Lionese is rather hilarious. Each of the parties is insisting on his or her rights. The lions all seem to be having quite a nice time. But what about the poor tortoise? The infuriating thing, from the lion's viewpoint, is that the tortoise is utterly inaccessible in its strong shell. The lioness, of course, knows that, and is thus not too concerned about whose the plaything is. A twig is made to suffice as a toy for little brother, who's tired of the whole affair. And soon the tortoise is no longer of interest to anyone else in the family either. And there it lies, without so much as a scratch in its shell. This protection has helped this species to exist for millions of years. The lion family doesn't seem to have bothered the tortoise very much, well, except that they've left it lying on its side, which is a highly troublesome situation for this clumsy reptile. How is it going to right itself again? The danger is that it will tip over onto its back. If that happens, it will remain there, and when tomorrow arrives, with the blazing rays of its sun around noontime, the heat can prove fatal. So it's essential to maneuver in the proper manner. A pattern of behavior guided by instinct causes the tortoise to alter his point of balance in relation to the sloping ground. And, at last, he succeeds. The tortoise, as usual, takes the whole thing with utter composure. No rush, no stress. That, incidentally, is the behavior displayed by the big felines, who also spend most of the day lazing. And it's just possible that the tortoise's slow-motion pace keeps it from attracting the unwelcome attention of predators. Evening is beginning to fall. The insects of the night begin their chorus, and the indolence of the lioness will shortly be replaced by several hours' highly efficient activity once the evening sun is set. But first, the cubs must have their evening meal. How fantastic it feels to be sitting in the grass only 4 or 5 meters from this trio of lions. Now they trust us completely. The same goes for both the lion males. Step by step, they've accepted my presence at an incredible proximity, less than 2 meters. Once again, it's a matter of confidence between a wild lion and me, a representative of a species that has been the mortal enemy of the lion for many centuries. The sun sets, and I yield to the impulse to show the sunset as a reflection in the male lion's eye. Nearer the truly wild, one can scarcely come. It's a wonderful privilege to be so completely accepted.
Safari will return in a moment.
Beyond Tomorrow, Tuesdays at 9:30 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Dan figures the time he saves using Microsoft Excel for his budgets is time well spent with others. Microsoft Excel, the spreadsheet for Windows.
Excuse me, the printer on your desk there, it's an HP LaserJet. Why?
Never really thought about it.
Well, look, somebody obviously thought about it. Somebody with a firm commitment to excellence, right?
Probably. Everyone here has an HP LaserJet printer.
And the fact that you don't think about your HP LaserJet kind of proves just how dependable it is, doesn't it?
That's a leading question. Are you an attorney?
Are you?
Yes. This is a law firm.
There you have it from an attorney at a leading law firm. HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
This year, Kraft is helping to feed our athletes as they train for the 1992 U.S. Olympic team, giving our best as they give theirs. Because we know after a hard day's work, there's nothing better than coming home to a good meal. Kraft, setting the training table for the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.
Just how the little woodland critters keep their food fresh all winter long is a secret they keep a tight lid on. Because Rubbermaid Serve and Savor lids never forget to keep food fresh. Don't you wish everything was made like Rubbermaid?
Won't anything stop this itching fast?
Lanacane shuts off every itch, like a switch. Only Lanacane works on contact with itch nerves that cause every itch. Not Benadryl, not hydrocortisone.
Lanacane does shut off the itch, like a switch, fast.
Point of fact, it takes the average person an average of 20 keystrokes to do an average task with their PC. Counterpoint. You can do it with just a point and click with Microsoft Windows.
It's a place where island traditions blend with European ideas, where day-to-day life is a struggle, and tomorrow's meal is far from guaranteed. The sea is their life, their sustenance, their pleasure, and their pain. But its wealth is diminishing, the young are departing, and the old just barely survive. The Whale Hunters of La Malera on Disappearing World, Tuesday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Excuse me, do you know what stock options are?
I wish I did.
When is the weak dollar good for business? Good? I don't know. The world of finance and investing can be pretty confusing unless you call for this, the Wall Street Journal's video guide to money and markets. It explains the markets in clear, simple English and brings them to life. This exclusive 30-minute video is free when you call for 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal for just $37, over 20% off the newsstand price. Subscribe to the Journal and get a daily view of the whole world of business and how it affects you. Information you know you should know. Call now, and you'll be ready next time someone asks you, are munis always a safe investment?
I'm not sure.
Call toll-free 800-752-6300 for 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and your free video on money and markets. That's 800-752-6300.
And now we return to Safari.
Now, as day switches to night, the lions too alter rhythm. There's an utterly different watchfulness in the lion's face. Night is hunting time for the big cats. The crow is waiting in vain in the morning light. This group of lions killed no prey last night. Early in the morning, the Mulharis start moving their livestock up to the grassy hills. And up there wait the hungry lions. The leader female of the pride glares a bit suspiciously, but we know now that we'll be able to follow the lions as they move through the forest. We've known them all for quite some time now. They're truly magnificent specimens, among the last of their species, the Asiatic lion. Their livestock are the Mulharis' wealth. The status of the group has to do with how many buffaloes it can keep. In olden times, the Mulharis always chased the lions away from a killed buffalo and took the meat for themselves. That's prohibited now. The lions are to be allowed to eat their fill. This is, after all, their national park. And the Mulharis are reimbursed, although the sum paid is seldom what they themselves regard the animal as having been worth. So, when a pride of lions appears, the Mulharis do everything they can to frighten away the hungry predators. It's no easy situation for the lions or for the Mulharis. It's remarkable to see what respect the lions have for a human being, respect implanted while they were still cubs, since the Mulharis have succeeded in scaring away lions for many generations now. One solitary man and plenty of buffaloes, an overabundance of meat for the pride of lions. Buffaloes don't see very well, but they do have an excellent sense of smell. The opportunity has vanished, but the man in charge of the buffaloes doesn't know whether one of his animals may have been killed already. Even though the buffalo keeper is much lighter and naturally much weaker than any of the 5 lions, the bluff works. The buffaloes have to be removed from the danger zone, and eventually the park rangers will arrive and with their goat entice the lions into another area where they'll be fed pork. All of this is part of a concerted effort to save the remaining specimens of the Asiatic lion, and it explains the balance of respect and confidence that now exists between lions and man in this remarkable nature preserve. And what will become of the human beings in this effort on behalf of a threatened animal species? A complex question. For the older people, it's naturally difficult to leave the area in which, after all, they've grown up. But the most important issue is what the children's future is going to look like. These little ones still live isolated from the world of the other children of India. If they move out of the park, they'll be able to go to school, and they'll have access to medical care and other things that, of course, are unthinkable as long as they live in Gir Forest. Far outside the park, newly constructed housing awaits the Maltaris. Housing of a much higher standard than these people are used to. And many Maltari families have already moved out to that new life, which means an end to their total dependence on buffalo keeping and affords more opportunities for a decent existence. Now, more emphasis is being placed on sheep farming, which provides far greater returns. The meat and wool can be sold, and one thing's for certain, attacks by lions need no longer be feared. And this and the vastly improved housing ultimately compensate most of the Maltaris for what was perhaps a freer life in the interior of the lion forest. And there are opportunities here that they never dreamed of before. A green field in the middle of the dry season. By means of artificial irrigation, new vistas have been opened for the people of the countryside. And for the Maltari children, it's nice always having clean, running water available. In this way, everything seems to have turned out for the best. The Maltaris are able to participate in the new era and in the progress constantly being made in India, while at the same time, the wildlife gets its water back and thereby the possibility of continued existence. We must never yield to the pressure of factors that often seem insurmountable. We must try to reestablish a sensible balance between man's hunger for land and the undisturbed domains of wildlife.
portion of Discovery is sponsored in part by HP LaserJet printers.
I see your printer here doesn't boast the HP LaserJet name. Did you ask for this?
No, I didn't. I assumed when I asked for a laser printer, I'd get a LaserJet.
Huh, have you spoken to management about this?
I am management.
Oh, so how did this happen?
Poor management, I guess.
Nah, probably just poor communication.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to send yourself a memo.
Yeah, and I could make a point of specifying an HP LaserJet.
Yeah, don't mince words either. HP LaserJet printers.